and welcome to our spotlight session. Hi there. This evening, it's Monday night, and we're going to do a little spotlight on some things that I want to share with you. And I want you to know that you don't need to do everything to be successful. And I'm talking to myself here. We just need to do the right things. And this session is going to focus on reframing that overworking mentality and embracing intentional productivity. So, hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Cindy. If you're new to this group or you're just tuning in to my YouTube channel, and on Mondays, I like to spotlight daily practices. That's right, daily practices for balance, self appreciation, and personal understanding. These techniques are to help high achievers like you and me maintain a healthy balance between our drive for success and our well-being, our health. So it's really opening ourselves up to a more vibrant and peaceful version of ourselves, regardless of how multi-passionate you may be. This session, we're going to talk about something that impacts all of us. So, whether you've got a lot of irons in the fire, maybe just a few irons in the fire, we are going to talk about the belief that we have to do it all in order to be successful or to get noticed or to feel good about ourselves. So let's think about a few things right here as we get started. And I'd love for you to share with me if you're watching live or if you're catching the replay, you can type it in the comment. All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this session on simplifying success. So, how often do we find ourselves thinking something like, if I slow down, I'm going to lose my momentum? Raise your hand if you think that. The truth is, rest actually fuels sustainable momentum. Burnout just kills it. You get tired and exhausted, it kills it, your momentum. So that's why it's so important for you to take time to rest and refresh. How about if you think success means yes, I have to say yes to every single opportunity that comes out there because I don't want to miss out on anything. Let me know if you think that. You know, the truth is, real success often comes from saying no to some of the good things. It does. And making room for the right things. And I've been really focusing on this thought myself over the last several months. You know, you get caught up in doing a lot of good things, but I want to focus and streamline what I do and aim it toward the right things that are going to get me where I want to be. And so that's one of the things, one of the myths that we tell ourselves, that we really have to take advantage of every single opportunity to do what it is, to sell our products, to do a service for somebody, whatever it might be. But you know what? Real success often comes when you just fine tune it and focus on those right things. Another thought you might have sometimes, I had this a lot when I was working in the classroom and as an administrator for the Department of Public Instruction. I can push through. I know I can, and I'll just rest once everything gets done. But everything doesn't get done. You know, there's a lot of jobs out there that just don't get finished. They're just ongoing. It's like being a mom. Your responsibilities are ongoing. You can't just rest when you're done because you don't get done. You just keep being a mom. You keep being a wife, a sister, a daughter, um, a husband. There's a lot of things that just go and go and go. And we love that they do. We love that about them. However, there's always something else that we can do that's going to wear us down. So peace has to be chosen, not earned. That's something that I want you to remember. And give me a thumbs up if you understand what I'm talking about. You need to choose that peace and that time to rest and refresh. Because if you wait for it to happen on its own, it's not going to happen because there's always something that needs to be done. All right, I want you to think about this. And, this session is for those of you who might be really deep in your career, or maybe you're managing a busy household, you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're just balancing some of your personal projects that are really near and dear to your heart. There's always a tendency to think that success means checking off these endless tasks. So the mom, she has that task. The career person, they have those things that they want to check off, especially if they're climbing the ladder in their career. And, people who run a household, caregivers, there's always one task right after another. But the truth is, you really don't need to do everything to be successful. You just need to do the right things that are going to keep the balance. The first one is to acknowledge the overwork trap. It really is a trap. And I know how it feels, the pressure to keep going, to be productive, to never take a break. It's exhausting, but we do it to ourselves. We often do it to ourselves, especially if we tend to procrastinate and we let things wait till maybe the last minute. And then we're forced to overwork ourselves because we need to get things done. And when we are constantly uh, handling a list that never ends, we are going to really become fatigued, exhausted, and just really uncomfortable. You're just going to have so many things going on, and doing all that stuff, it doesn't lead to true success. It leads to overwhelm, to burnout, to stress, frustration, and sometimes even disillusionment. The things that used to really bring you lots of joy doesn't happen anymore. And it might just be that you're trying to do too much. We don't need to be working 24/7 to feel accomplished. I know I'm speaking to myself here. The more that we focus on doing everything, the more scattered and overwhelmed we become. Our brain just gets taxed, and there is so much going on that we fall into the trap of thinking that busy, busy, busy equals success. We're being successful. We're getting as much done. We're staying as busy as we can. But that real success comes when you're working smarter, not harder. I know you've heard that before, but are you putting it to practice in your own life? Then step number 2, reframe the definition of success. In different seasons of life, success is going to look different. for each of us. So let's reframe what success really looks like. Think about it. True success is not just about crossing everything off on your to-do list and being busy all the time. Go, go, go. It's about focusing on the things that matter the most and learning how to sift through the other things that might feel important, but they're not urgent. And you're going to have to put something on the back burner occasionally. So I want you to think about it. If you're working nonstop on whatever it is, your job, your personal projects that you might have, or your responsibilities around the home, if you are working nonstop and you are neglecting your health or maybe relationships or your passions, then are you truly succeeding? Success is about intentional action. It's about focusing on what aligns with your values, what's important to you, what goals you have, not just for getting through the day, but goals that you might have for the year or in 5 years or 10 years. And most importantly, what brings you peace? What is it? Think about it. You know, when you focus on what brings you peace, then you're not just going to stay busy all the time. You're going to take time for the things that really matter the most. So, how can we do this? Let's talk about it. How are we going to shift from overwork to intentional success? I'm going to share with you 4 simple steps. Now, I know we just talked about some a few minutes ago, but we're going to talk about the steps that you need to stop overworking, stop overthinking, and really focus on the right things so that you can get ahead and really feel like you're making progress, even when things pile up or when your to-do list isn't completely finished. So the first one is really just to set priorities. You know that. Identify what are the priorities. What really matters to you? This isn't about every single task. And I've been saying this again and again and again, because a lot of times we feel like because we're getting a lot done and we're doing a lot and we're staying really busy and we're getting all those things done, that we're being successful. But the work is only part of it. Those things that you check off on your list, that's only part of living, part of having a life. And it's only part of what moves the needle forward in your life and in your career and even in your personal endeavors. So ask yourself, what are the top 3 things that if you do them today will bring you closer to your goals? Just 3 things. Don't pile yourself up. Focus on what the priorities are, and instead of having this never-ending to-do list, every single day when you wake up, there's just more and more and more on the list. Really, like I said, sift out those things that are really not mandatory. Because there are seasons in life where you don't have time for the extra things. So you have to put them on the back burner for a little bit. And you know what? At first, when you start like fine-tuning things, you start sifting out the things that are just there keeping you busy versus the things that are going to get your goals met quicker. It's going to feel a little weird. Um, Everything that you do, you need to focus on just a few key things. So, it feels weird at first, but once you do it and you keep doing it and you give yourself time to just relax and refresh, it's really a good thing to do. And it's going to start to feel more normal. And so just stick with it. Now, um, how about number two? This is breaking tasks down into small, manageable chunks. So taking the big task, they feel really overwhelming and they can make you feel like you need to work nonstop. You've got something that you're trying to get organized, something that you're trying to get off the ground, something you're trying to launch, whatever it might be. It's a massive undertaking. And instead of looking at it as a whole, break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. So it's kind of like a task analysis. However, you're going to get this big task done, break it down into smaller steps and remind yourself you don't have to finish everything in one setting. Just take it one step at a time. All right. And think about it. You may still, even though you hear this and you maybe have heard it before, you may still be trying to tackle the whole thing at once. Big projects all the time, and you just get yourself overwhelmed. So all you need to do is just remind yourself over and over the small steps are how you're going to make the most progress. So keep that in mind. Where were you overwhelming yourself? Think about it. Are you overwhelming yourself by thinking of all that you have to do at once? Do you have a big, massive project that you're trying to get done and it's taking you weeks, months, who knows how long? Think about it. It's the big thing. What is it? Jot it down, put it in the comments below. Let me know. Write it in your journal if you don't want to share it in the comments, because it's something that you're going to want to explore later on when you have some time. What are you feeling? What is overwhelming you right now? Maybe there's nothing overwhelming you. I hope that might be the case. But what is something that's overwhelming you right now? And it's a big fat task and you might want to figure out how to break it down into small tasks and take it from there. The third step is to set boundaries and prioritize your self-care. It's important, but it's super easy for us to get caught in that trap of, I'll just work a little bit longer. I'm just going to spend a little bit more time. I'm just going to finish up this little thing, or I'm going to try to do that little thing. I do that a lot, not as much as I used to. But we really do perform at our best when we give ourselves time to recharge and not just keep pushing through. Because in the grand scheme of things, that extra 5, 10, 15 minutes, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Cut off and take a break before you get to that complete, total, utter frustration point. So set boundaries that really protect your energy. So whether that means scheduling breaks, setting work cutoff time, like a certain time that you're going to work on that and then just walk away from it, even if it's not finished, or maybe saying no to some things. Sometimes that's hard to do, but saying no to some things that really aren't a priority right now. So just remind yourself that taking time for yourself actually boosts your productivity in any area of your life. When you take time for yourself, it's going to boost your productivity. It's going to boost your momentum, and you're going to be inspired to do more. However, sometimes guilt can creep in. When you're saying no to something or you're shutting down work, at a certain time, you feel guilty. Well, maybe I should just keep going. It can be really uncomfortable at first. But every time that you honor your limits, you build more trust in yourself. And like I said, it really does boost your momentum. So I want you to think about this. Where are you sacrificing your well-being or a relationship or some other goal that you might have for the sake of getting things done, getting everything done, and that really is something that you could maybe um, not do to perfection? Maybe something that you can just ease off a little bit so that you're not sacrificing your well-being. Sometimes they say done is good enough. Good enough is better than perfect, I guess is what I was wanting to say. Don't feel like everything has to be perfect. Sometimes it's just good enough, and then you can walk away for a while. Or maybe you're someone who's not sacrificing your well-being. Maybe you are doing top notch right now, and you're kind of in one of the good phases in your life. And if that's the case, how do you do it? I want you to share the tips with us so that we can support each other. And the very last thing is to trust the process and let go of perfectionism. This is something we've talked about throughout this chat, but it's not as easy to do. You might say, yeah, I'm letting go of that, or I'm a recovering perfectionist. Well, you really do need to let go of that perfectionism. Perfection, even look that word up in the dictionary. Look up some of the synonyms for that word. You might be surprised. You might fit in there more than you think. And the truth is, you just don't need to do everything flawlessly. There's not a purpose for it. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. It's good enough the way it is, and it's okay because you really have other things on your agenda that are going to bring you more peace. And that's what you want to focus on. And sometimes that perfectionism, it leads to procrastination, it leads to frustration, and like I said, it leads to disillusionment. You become so disillusioned when you're trying to do things perfectly all the time. So instead, trust that you are doing enough when you focus on the right things. That's it. Just focus on the right things. And your progress is still progress, even if it's not perfect. And I know you'll probably catch yourself wanting to fix everything and kind of falling back into that perfection trap. When you choose to celebrate progress instead of chasing perfection, even when it feels awkward, you are doing yourself a big favor. And the final one, celebrate intentional success. As you begin to implement these steps that we've been talking about, you will find that success feels lighter and freer. You're going to stop feeling like you're constantly running in place, you're treading water. It just doesn't look like you're making any headway. You begin to notice more clarity in your thinking. Sometimes that in itself can make a big difference in your energy level, and you'll feel greater satisfaction with your accomplishments. So you can be successful without overworking. You just need to focus on what truly matters and take it one step at a time and honor your needs along the way every day. Not just when you get a break and you go on vacation or you finally get a chance to get out of the office or something. I want you to try to work on getting that feeling like you are working toward what matters every single day along the way. So think about it. Where are you holding yourself back because you are afraid that it won't be perfect, or because you don't know where to start, or because you've got so many other things on your plate? Think about all those other things you've got on your plate. What if done good enough is okay? And you can get it done and move on to something else. And actually, you will find that you have that inner strength, and you're going to feel more powerful than if you are constantly focused on trying to get things done perfectly, because that's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So if you are ready to stop overworking and you want to start achieving your goals with intention and clarity, I want to invite you to maybe take that next step and check out my Expansion Essentials Starter Kit. This kit is designed to help you implement these strategies, those things that we've talked about today, so that you can stop feeling overwhelmed and you can really start making progress that feels comfortable. So thank you for joining me today, for tuning in, and I am going to say goodbye, and we will see you next Monday.